My name is Matt McKenna from Talent Alliance Group. The name of this panel is Secrets of Stuntwomen, and we've been planning this for a long time. Very excited to have this beautiful group of seriously badass women to share their stories with us and talk to us today. I'm going to start with Tamiko Brownlee. She's been in the stunt industry for 10 years. She is currently doubled actress Jessica Alba. She's been nominated for three Taurus Awards for her work in Mile 22. She received a SAG nomination for Best Stunt Ensemble. Movies include Avengers: Infinite War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and The Revenant. Amazing. Kimberly Shannon Murphy. Kimberly has been a professional stuntwoman for 16 years, doubling actresses that include Uma Thurman, Cameron Diaz for 10 years, Amber Heard, Caitlin Olsen, Blake Lively, Taylor Swift, and Charlize Theron. Kimberly is a 4-time Taurus Award nominee for Best Fight, 2 times for Best Overall Stunt by a Stuntwoman, and nominee for Hardest Hit. Kimberly received a SAG award for her stunt ensemble for I Am Legend, which she doubled the lead creature for her stunts. Movies include Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Star Trek, Spider-Man 3, and Zombieland. Kimberly.
I just got to say, she also does all of that, and she's a mom. That's pretty huge.
I can't hear.
All right. Melissa Stubbs. We'd be here all day if I had to read your full resume, but Melissa's been in the stunt industry for 32 years. It's about Mel right now. Mel, 32 years. She's doubled actresses Ashley Judd, Angelina Jolie, Jennifer Aniston, Jessica Alba, Sharon Stone, Goldie Hawn, Natalie Portman, Cate Blanchett, Margot Robbie, and many, many more. She has been nominated 3 times for the Taurus World Stunt Awards. She won Best Stunt by a Woman for Scooby-Doo, Monsters Unleashed. She has performed in such films as Batman: The Dark Knight Rises, great movie, Suicide Squad, Deadpool, X-Men, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and is doubled for Angelina Jolie. In Inception, she earned a SAG Award for Best Stunt Ensemble and many more. Oh, my God. Mel. So, while we get our technical issues worked out here with Zoe.
I hear you.
You hear us. Amazing. Yes. Hello. I'm just about to read your bio.
It's a really
Zoe.
important sense, the sense of hearing.
Zoë Bell, ladies and gentlemen, from New Zealand. Zoe is one of the handful...
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Zoe. Zoe is one of the handful of performers who can successfully transition between stuntwoman and leading lady. She's also made a name for herself as both a producer and director. Some of her most notable work includes doubling for Lucy Lawless in Xena, the Warrior Princess, and Uma Thurman in Kill Bill. As an actress, she has appeared on television and feature films, and she has starred in a web series called Angel of Death. She's probably most recognized for playing herself in Quentin Tarantino's film Death Proof in 2015. Great movie. She appeared in an acting role in Quentin's 8th feature film, The Hateful Eight, and in Quentin Tarantino's 9th film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She appeared as an actor in addition to her role as stunt coordinator and stunt woman. Woo! Zoe is currently working on a short project with Quentin Tarantino and directing multiple feature films. Thank you, Zoe, for being with us.
My pleasure.
Amazing. So, let's see. We got a lot to talk about here.
Did I miss all the other ladies saying hi? Did they say hi? Can I
Hi,
say
Zoe.
Can
Hi,
you
ladies.
see us? Or, can you
We
see
love
anything
you.
Or just hear
No,
stuff?
there you are. Hello. I'm looking through the laptop, so I can't see you, but know that I'm imagining you the whole time in my head.
So I think, secrets of stunt women, right? So we have a variety of sort of talking points we want to talk about. We really want this to be sort of a casual discussion. We want to like really kind of get involved into some of these things. I think the first question that comes to mind is, as a woman in the stunt business, was your job inherently harder, even though you perhaps had the same skill set as a man? Who wants to start with this? Zoe. And tell us why.
You guys have to like just when something's dedicated to me, because I can't read the room at all from here. So I don't want to just keep answering, but I will happily if called upon.
Okay, you're called upon.
Okay. I mean, I've always found that question quite a tricky one because, and this sounds ridiculous, but I've never been anything other than myself in this business. So I don't know what the experience of being a man in this business is. There are some inherent challenges that come with being a female in this industry that if you were born with other appendages, you might not face. But, I don't know. There are other things that might be bothersome as a man in this business. I think as a female, my experience has been, I've been really fortunate to work with intelligent stuntmen that as long as I'm good to work with and I'm doing a good job and working really hard, I get the respect that's due. There's been a couple of occasions that I've been shocked into realizing that maybe that's not what's happening and that I might have to engage some other skill set, such as diplomacy and not speaking my mind in that moment. But yeah, I know I've been very fortunate. I have heard many stories from many women who have had the types of struggles that are specific to being a female in this business. I am fortunate to have not gone through many of those myself.
Thank you. Why we're talking to you specifically, I think a lot of people are sort of fascinated by the career that you've had, and maybe you could talk a little bit about what it was like going from working, in a somewhat controlled environment in New Zealand on Xena to landing in Hollywood, and sort of what that transition felt like for you and what that experience was like.
Yeah, it was a tricky one. There was a couple of different things going on for me. There's a cultural shift. There's a walking from, like you're saying, Matt, going from a really tight-knit small community of which I was quite a major piece for quite some time. We all knew each other by name. There was an unspoken language between all of us. I didn't have to prove anything that anyone didn't know yet. And then you walk into what is effectively the mecca of our work. To be honest, it never occurred to me that I would work in Hollywood because I really just didn't think, no offense to the rest of my New Zealand team, but I really didn't think that we were, I don't know, Hollywood just seemed like this unattainable concept. So to suddenly be in it was quite, it was daunting. It was also, there's people in this industry, it can be quite tight-knit. It's massive, but it's quite, everybody kind of knows each other and they've got a lot of history and there are families in this country that have been doing it. That's not the case in New Zealand, I'm sort of all of us are like first generation stunt people. So that was quite daunting. The cultural differences of on set with unionized film sets versus what New Zealand was like back in the day was quite tricky. I was fortunate enough again to meet really early on, actually, the women in this panel. Timiko a little later on in the piece, but these two, Mel and Kim, I met really early on, and those kinds of friendships and relationships are fundamental because A, you need that support and you need to know that there are people you can lean on and trust, and B, when you meet women that are talented and hardworking and have sort of the same approach that you do, it's a massive relief.
Thank you.
We said no crying, remember?
No crying.
We said no crying.
There's going to be some crying, folks. So I think, I'd like to add, I think there's some questions that got sent in to us, and one of them was to Mel on when does she think that the Academy will recognize stunt performers, and what can we do to change that?
Okay, everybody grab a drink. It's gonna
We're going to set the timer for 10 minutes on this one.
It's been an ongoing thing. There's a colleague and friend of mine, Jack Gill, who's been fighting for 27-ish years. He's been a member of the Academy. I think there's 6,000 members of the Academy. And it's a very tight-knit group of people. It used to be, we called them the old curmudgeons. they weren't open to new ways of doing things or diversity. Or the Academy generally recognizes art, film as a piece of art or a creativity. And they somehow deemed our craft of stunts as neither an art nor a science, which is really funny because all I do every day is creatively try to think of interesting things to do that look cool but follow the story and take the characters in the story forward in a cool, interesting way, and not to upstage the actors or the story with the big explosion. So it's quite creative, and it is scientific in how we approach it safely. So the Academy board members deemed us as not creative, nor is it scientific. So
Totally makes sense.
yeah. And in 2007, I was invited to be part of the Academy, and I'm the only female stunt coordinator, and it's ridiculous. So I think what we've been trying to make small changes. There's been an approach to picket the Academy and demand an award, which, that's never going to work. So what we need to do is just generate, through the generations, change the way we are perceived as, we are not daredevils, we are not rodeo cowboys, we don't just go out and wreck shit. I mean, sometimes we do, and that's fun.
Usually when we rap.
On the weekend. But as far as, directors, I mean, Paul Feig could speak on this, we're an extension of the director, creatively. We help him understand his vision. And what the Academy needs to learn, and we need to gently get across to them, is just change the way they perceive stunt people. They're not just wingnuts that wreck stuff and crash cars and want to fall off of things. We creatively make inputs and changes into a film, so it's just going to take time and awareness and bringing more females and diversity and more stunt coordinators. And we've changed the name from stunt coordinator to action designer in the Academy, so that's a step forward. So hopefully one day in my generation, before I die, one of us is going to stand up there and accept an Academy Award.
When this question came in, I couldn't even believe it. I had to research this because stunt coordination is such a big part of the movie business today, and the biggest grossing films are all based around action. I couldn't believe it. So, I hope this does change. I'd like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But let's see. I think, it's interesting, too, for a lot of us sitting here looking at, an amazing resume. It'd be interesting just to talk a little bit about, Tomiko, when did you realize this is what you want to do for a living? And, what was the impetus to sort of get in this industry and do what you do today?
Well, that's a really great question. I didn't really think beyond that you can make a living doing this. I would watch, a TV show and somebody fall off a building. I'm like, oh, well, they're either dead or they're not going to walk. I didn't understand the camera angles and you can hide, an airbag, or you can be on a wire. You have pads. And I learned this when I moved to Los Angeles. My background is martial arts, and I wanted to learn how to do backflip. So I started going to open gymnastics classes as an adult, which is fun. But I ran into a bunch of working stunt performers, and they're like, yeah, we can do car hits, and we do fall off buildings, but this is training. You got to learn how to do it. You got to learn how to hit the ground, and you got to learn, right, how to protect yourself. And when you fall, you don't want to go face first into the concrete, like how to roll out of it so that you disperse your energy. And I was like, oh my God, you can do this for a living? This is amazing. Like I grew up climbing trees and falling out of them, and falling off my bike, and I grew up doing martial arts, so I fought my brothers all the time, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can do this for a living? And they're like, yeah, try it. So I got in, and 10 years later, they can't stop me yet.
But how's that though? You get hit by a car and you can do it more than once because you're not dying. How is that not science?
Yeah,
How is that not science?
It's learning how to hit the ground and going, hey, I can do it again. Do you want another take? And you're like, oh, yeah, no problem.
Kimberly, you do work, and Tamiko, you do work for video games and things like that. I mean, has that sort of opened up a whole different aspect of the business for you?
I never have.
You never have.
Have you?
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, I've done several video games. It's very interesting to watch how they can manipulate your body mechanics and make you into a creature, whether they're 10 feet tall or 3 feet tall. They just take your movement, because right now, the computers, when they're trying to generate movement, it just doesn't move like an actual human. So they're using and they're storing it somewhere, and they're taking all of our data, and they can manipulate us. Like, I've played a creature, they've had me crawl across the floor, walk across the floor, your leg is broken, your arm is broken, you got shot in the face, you got shot in the shoulder, you got shot, and I'm like, oh my God, no more. And you do this
What
for
games?
like hours
Any
and
of
hours
these
and
games
hours.
we'd know?
Well, Halo 5,
Halo 5,
Guardians, Uncharted. I'd have to look at my resume because I'm really forgetful.
Big games, got it.
Head injury.
Yeah, I did get one of those this year. She knows. Yeah, it's fascinating to see what they can do in the video games. They make it more real, but I feel like it also takes away from us as performers, because now they have our data, and they can just bring you in for one day and then create this whole storyline with your movement as different characters, but pay you for that one day, and you don't get residuals on video games. So I don't know. It's completely different from, when Mel was starting versus when I started. I started 10 years ago, and I see the green screens, and I got the wire, and I don't have to jump off the cliff as high. I did do that. That one was pretty high.
I'm glad we don't.
Thank God.
Amazing.
Did I answer the question?
Yes, you did. I
Okay.
think so. Another question we have for Zoe is, you came to become a stunt coordinator, right? And how did you prepare for that? And what did you learn in the process?
Oh my God, have we got like 5 hours? I'm learning currently what my process is as a stunt coordinator. I'm relatively new to being an integral part of the pre-production process, aka like the logistics, money, man days, scheduling, all of that kind of stuff, rather than like, what would be really cool part, that bit is easy, is enjoyable. I learned all kinds of things. It was quite a drastic shift in, like, the sort of most obvious thing for me was the shift in, how to explain it, the role that I play on sets. So as a double or as a performer, my role on set, my job is to do the job, obviously, but my role on set is I'm part of the stunt crew. I've always taken it upon myself to kind of be one of the people who says yes to everything. I keep the mood up. I'm part of that. Like, I like to make people laugh. I kind of, that becomes part of who I am on set as a performer. As a coordinator, I'm learning I can still bring all of that stuff, but as a head of department, there's a different level of responsibility to the production, to the budget, to obviously your players, the cast, the director, and it's just a very different set of shoes that I'm standing in, and it's a set of shoes that I don't know, Kimberly, by the end of it, did I get the hang of it?
I was going to say, so I did Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Zoe. I did the end fight with Brad. And without getting emotional, she's
No, don't.
fucking
You will make it.
incredible and did all the right things. And the things that she didn't know, she wasn't afraid to, ask and bring people in that did know. And, I think that the best coordinators really are the people that have done all of the stunts, because you have physically gone through it. You can articulate in your head how it's going to happen. And she was amazing. I mean, I got my ass fully kicked and handed to me in every direction. But it was the best.
She did. It was awesome.
But it was one of the best experiences of my life, and the best experience to work with her. Just, I think now with women doing more things in that facet of being coordinating, it's such a lovely thing, because we haven't had that opportunity for so long, and now that it's happening, it's so clear to me that it's exactly who who should be in those positions. Not saying men shouldn't, but it's a breath of fresh air for sure. And to work for women like Zoe, it was awesome to watch her work and watch how she handled everything, and she killed it. I mean, absolutely killed it.
I imagine that's hard, though, to be the stunt coordinator, to be an actor in the film, and to also be, a stunt performer in the same movie, and how to manage all those different aspects of your professional career.
Is that aimed at me?
Yeah, I think, yeah. Or Mel.
No, I want to hear
Okay, good. Yeah.
Zoe's experience on the last film. I think Once
Yeah.
Upon a Time. He's just, how do you wear so many different hats and
Yeah.
switch gears and still run your department and not just be an actress?
Not just be. How do you not just be an actress? I don't know, guys. It's so hard.
Everybody here see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Yes. Okay.
Because I don't want to give away any spoilers. But very quickly, just put it in there, like, for those who don't know, Mel has been, like, one of the few female stunt coordinators since forever that I've known her, and it's always been one of those, for me, knowing that someone that has the personality that Mel has, combined with the experience that she has, and being a female in the role of stunt coordinator, has always just been just that real life inspiration, not that kind of bullshit that you write about and get quoted in articles, but that kind of stuff where you're like, when you hear a lot of my black friends talk about when they first see a black person in a role in a movie, and they're like, man, it's the first time I saw someone like me on that screen. Like, that was, for me, Mel was one of those. It was like the first time I'd seen a female in that role, because she should be there completely and utterly, and that's just normal. And it was like so thank you, Mel.
I just feel lucky.
But anyway,
I just feel lucky, and I'm just hacking and paving the way for the rest of y'all. Like, there more women need to do this, and it's been, for 30 years an upstream swim, just climb, and every time someone said you're never going to do that, I just made me more determined, and but you can't just demand to be put in a position. Oh, I'm a woman, so or the color of my skin, I should be the stunt coordinator, or I should be given an opportunity. You have to earn the respect. You have to do the work. If you want people to respect you and listen to you, you have to come from an educated place. You have to know your shit, and you have to have been through it before, and you have to experience it. And when you say something, you can't second guess yourself. If you show weakness, no one's going to believe you. And you just have to go, you know what, this is what we're doing. And some people are going to challenge you. You're going, nope, this is what we're doing. As long as Paul Feig, our director, says it's okay. But you know what I mean? Like, if the director's on board, you just have to have conviction. But you have to do your research. You have to do your homework. You can't just go run on charm. It'll get you so far. But you really have to know what the hell you're doing and what you're talking about. And if you don't, go research. Ask a buddy. Spend a couple of weeks learning and asking, bringing in the right people to educate you. If there's a certain thing that, you're not totally an expert in.
This
But-
applies to all aspects of your life, by the way.
I think
I
that too
totally
is
agree. It
an-
does. And all. Oh, sorry. I can't tell when I'm talking.
I think it's an ego thing
Oh, sure.
as well. I just coordinated my first small show.
All right.
But literally, my husband is a stuntman and a coordinator and second unit director, and he doubled Tom Cruise for 11 years. Mel actually got him his first job doubling Tom Cruise. And when they approached me to do the show, because they're trying to get more women, and I take this job extremely seriously, and it's not something that, it's always the small things that people get hurt on, and it's always the overlooks and all of that. And I got the script, and I gave it to my husband, and I said, read this. I read it first, but I said, read this and tell me if you think I can do this, because I don't want to, I don't want to represent women, and I don't want to be that woman that hurt someone on set, because right now that is kind of the time where, we kind of have to do everything right, or it's a thing. I said, read the script, and he's, Kim, you're fine, it's ridiculous, you've been, and I, then I gave it to Clay. I said, Clay, read the script.
Her super hot neighbor.
Yeah, also, awful. Anyway, I did the show, and it was great, and it wasn't, in caliber to what I'm used to doing was not a big deal, but again, I think it's something that we have to take really seriously, because, it's people's lives on the line, and when you're coordinating, you're in charge of that, and something happens, and everyone looks at you, and that's not where you want to be, which is like, on the other end of that.
I think it is. You just need the confidence to know that you can do that, and sometimes you need to hear it from the people you respect the most. That hey, you got this. You can do this. Because we don't have the confidence to stand up to people and say we can do this. So that's what it is building your confidence and knowing that you know what you're talking about. But it's hard. Sometimes it doesn't. A lot of women I find, because men will give an answer whether they know or not. Nothing. I respect men, love men, nothing, but they will just go, well, it's blue, whether they know or not. And women will go, I'm not sure, let me check. Because if they don't know, they'll say, I don't know. And that's the difference, is like, you do your research, educate yourself, and come in with an educated view on things.
Can I say something on the tail of that?
Please do,
that
Zoe, please.
Feels like. Oh, what? Was that a yes? I don't know.
Jump in, of course.
And action.
Blah! One of the lessons that I learned that was kind of one of the few times in my life I'm like, shit, that was one of those moments I could literally quote, and it sounds like a really good little encapsulated moment, was early on in pre-production. Once upon a time, we were going through looking for a fight coordinator, and there was one that Quentin particularly liked, and there was a guy that I had on board and I would like, blah, 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 blah. And everyone sort of dropped out right around the same time. And so we were looking for a new fight coordinator or fight choreographer, or whatever they were going to be. And so I had like 6 people on the line. They were all top-notch, amazing people that were super excited to come on board, blah, blah, blah. And Quentin called me into his office and was like, right, where are we at with this? And he was kind of bummed that the guy that he had been interested in wasn't available. So it was, a little bit on the sticky side of the Quentin personality. And so I walked in there and I had like 6 different dudes, and I was kind of flustered because I hadn't quite figured out who it was going to be yet. And so I walked in and I presented as flustered and like I didn't quite know what was going on yet. And I kind of talked them through all of it, so that in my head I was trying to show him that I had done all the work. And he kind of got frustrated and was like, well, get back to me when something or other. And he basically, about half an hour later, he called me back into the office and he sat me down and he was like, look, sorry about that. I know you know what you're doing in terms of you've got all these people. He's like, but here's what I need from you. If you don't know exactly what the answer is, just tell me you've got things lined up you haven't got it squared away yet. Give me a couple of hours and I'll come back to you. He was like, I'll always give you a couple of hours, but don't make me have to carry all the work. And I was like, oh my God, it didn't even occur to me that that's what I was doing. But so that because I didn't trust that I knew what I was doing, I was trying to convince him that I knew what I was doing. Instead of walking in and being like, I know what I'm doing, it's just not done yet. I need a couple of hours, which would let him go, cool, she's got it. And then I'll just see her in a couple of hours. It was just this kind of moment for me where it seems so obvious, but sometimes it takes, like Mel was saying, it just takes someone that you respect, either giving you the confidence or giving you constructive criticism. Because how else are you going to learn until someone gives it to you in a way that you can, either you see it for yourself or you need to hear it from someone like that. And it was just like, I was so appreciative of him in that time, having taken that moment to call me back in and lay it down for me like that, because it was then I just carried that through the rest of the film. Like, that's not a lesson that's going to go away, and that's a forever lesson. And for myself as a coordinator, but just for myself as a female in a business world, is like, if you don't, because I'm honest, I'm never going to lie to you or anybody for that matter. I'm like, all of you people, I will never lie to you. But if I don't know something, I'm not going to make it up. But recognizing that I don't need to make it up, and actually all I need to say is, I haven't got that squared away yet. Give me a minute, give me a day, give me a couple of hours. It's so priceless to be able to say that to somebody. And I want anyone who's under me to say the same thing, because it takes it off my plate. Anyway, take that with a pot of gold if you want it.
Beautifully said.
And on one fun note, it's important. Mentorship is really important for stunt coordinating. If I didn't have some amazing mentors, stunt coordinators, like old-time legend stunt coordinators, these guys, Conrad Palmisano, Glenn Randall, like so many took me under their wing. And when I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and they're like, you can do this. They threw me in the deep end, and they gave me the tools and the lessons. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, pass down your knowledge. And, Tamiko right now is shadowing me. And if the only thing she learns at the end of the day is what not to do, that's great. She's learned something.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what it is about, when you learn some knowledge, pass it down and help shadow people. Because that's how I got the doors open for me, was other people who had been doing it for years and who helped me, who I could learn from. Otherwise, I would have killed myself or someone else.
I was reading that you've been in 231 movies. Is that worked on 231 titles? Is that right?
I guess, I don't know.
231.
Probably more.
You're not counting now? What?
Wow.
No.
Hey guys, I'm Carrie Burnett. First off, I want to say thank you so much for your camera's there. For just like deciding to choose stunts, because I grew up and I definitely didn't know that stunts existed, and let alone like falling out of a tree, jumping out of water 40 feet, and all this stuff I can get paid for. So when I found that out, like 3 years ago in LA, I was like, sign me up, And then I started doing my research, and I know you guys a lot of information because Google's really good. But my question, sorry, so I don't talk too long, is that I don't see a lot of women stunt coordinators. I've worked on over 30 sets probably and productions, and I wanted to know, is there like a barrier that you guys feel like that maybe you encounter, because I think you guys have a Ray experience. Obviously, Melissa, I know you do a lot of amazing coordinating. But so the barriers on becoming a stunt coordinator as a woman, and also I wanted to know your opinion on, I have double boys and girls, and I've seen a lot of men double, I haven't seen a lot, but I have seen men double women. What do you think about that whole scenario? And the same thing with color. Thank you.
Oh, that's a vast question.
Mel can speak on that big time.
Woo.
Very in-depth question. I'm going to have a drink. A sip of my
I'm not always super
It just turned midday here. Does that mean I can drink as well?
You can, Zoe. You
I'm
can.
not always super diplomatic. I say what I think. As far as women just haven't been given the opportunities to be stunt coordinators. It wasn't an option. When I was coming up, there were no women that did it, and I was told I would never do it. And, I honestly didn't want to be a stunt coordinator. I love doing stunts, but an older second unit director stunt coordinator, when I met him, he just forced me into it. He goes, you're going to be a good stunt coordinator. You need to do this. And he edged me.
Man.
He edged me to do it. And so I did it. And the opportunity started to come. and I rose to the occasion. But yeah, more women need to be doing this. But you have to do the training, do the right mentorship, and prepare yourself and be ready for it.
Mel is like the legendary mentor. Because it's genuine, she wants to mentor people. And I will tell you, for myself, having stepped into a massive show as a coordinator, having never really done it before, one of the things that was abundantly clear to me was most people who step into coordinating are men, and most men who step into coordinating have been assistant coordinators, have been like the right-hand man to a coordinator all the way through a couple of projects, and they've been handed off half of the responsibilities. And so they've had that experience along the way where I suddenly was running a ship that I was completely unfamiliar with from that vantage point, because I hadn't been mentored in any way, shape or form. And I'm not saying poor me, I wasn't mentored. I'd buggered off and done acting and stuff, so I'm sure everyone was like, whatever, she's not even in it anymore. But what I'm saying is, then when someone like Mel is like, oh, we should do a show together, if you ever need anything, call me, I'd love to teach you and help you and guide you, I'm just like, oh, feed me. I would love that, because that's the kind of stuff you can't get. Like, on-set training is just, it's gold. It's just gold. And if you're not underneath someone, like my on-set training as a coordinator was, I mean, it was the deep end, and you learn a whole screed of different things being chucked in the deep end, for sure. That has its merits. But I love the mentoring philosophy, and I think speaking to everybody, thanking all the women on the stage, because I think we all are of the same mindset when it comes to this, but speaking to the audience, that needs to be something that we manifest in the world in general, is not just women mentoring women, but mentoring the youth, and also making sure that it is touching all ethnicities, and it's irrelevant of ethnicity, and it's irrelevant of sexual orientation, it's irrelevant of gender, that just to spread the knowledge to those that are eager and look like they're going to be good at it is just, it's so important. And it really makes me realize how much I would like to give back, because I've been around so long. Surely I've got something good to give back,
It is. It's all about giving back, taking your knowledge and passing it on, because you can't take it with you.
I think, too, speaking on what you're saying about the men and the doubling women and women doubling men, I think that people have gotten a little too hung up on that, meaning that there's a perfect person for a job, and just because you can ride a motorcycle doesn't mean you can ride a motorcycle like Melissa, like Jimmy Roberts,
Melissa Stubbs,
like the people that are in this business, because you can ride a track all day, every day, and it is not the same as being on set and having to deal with doing a stunt on a moving vehicle, having hair and makeup and everyone messing with you, and the director telling you something and your coordinator telling you something and the first AD telling you something else, and then there's 40 extras thrown in the mix and all of those things. Like Zoe's saying, the gender and all of that doesn't matter. What matters is the safety, and that the perfect person is in that spot doing that job, no matter if it's a boy doubling, a man doubling a woman doubling a man, whatever it is. It needs to be the right person in the right spot, so that no one dies, because that's what happens, unfortunately.
People do die when they get.
Well, and I reckon that's the key thing, though, is like, listen, there's things that I've had to do a flip in a harness because the dude who was doubling the God of War couldn't flip in a harness, so they put a moustache on me and they strapped me down and I did a flip, whatever. But it's like, so at some point, if you can, like, the thing is, if you're looking at a motorcycle gag and you've got, say, a Jimmy Roberts and you've got a Mel Stubbs, or a Debbie Evans, and the character that's on the bike is a woman, the job should go to the women first. If there is no woman that's capable of doing what's required safely, then you go to someone who can. And I think it goes the same in color. I think at some point, those things, as long as the person of color or of boobs or balls or whatever it is the one being, there is an opportunity offered for that, and it should go to that person first, so that it's not just someone getting their mate in. That has to be first and foremost. And then at the end of the day, if you can't find someone to do it, put a moustache on me, strap my boobs down, I'll do it, no problem. You know what I mean? Like, if it starts to become a political issue rather than a performance and safety issue, then that gets out of our job scope, really, I feel like.
Well said.
Is that too crass?
Yeah, very well said.
Perfect.
I think she meant blackface.
Well, listen, none of us want to do blackface. I mean, I've done it.
I've done it.
We've all done it. It's how it was done. I
I've done
doubled Aaliyah on my reel there.
I've
On
never done.
Real Man Must Die. I've doubled lots because that's the way it was done. I'm not saying it's right. And if, let's say, for instance, you're a good double for our actress and there's a motorcycle chase, you're going to be the first person I call. And I go, you know what? We got a month. Let's get you on the motorcycle. Let's train
Yeah.
you properly. Let's give you a shot. And let's do it
Yeah.
safely. We got a month to get you ready for this, and I think you could do it. So we go out and we rehearse. And if you show the passion and the diligence and you show up on time, and you listen, then maybe we're going to get you there. But if we come to a point where you're tentative and you're not really, I mean, you know what, I might bring in a, Jay Lynch or whatever. Or, listen, I don't want to do it, but, we try not to do that. But I'm certainly not going to put you in a position where you're going to be injured. Or, I've been involved with incidents where there's been a fatality because we put a person of color in the position when they weren't ready. And I will never let that happen again. And it wasn't my choice. I wasn't running the show. I was just a hired soldier on it. But absolutely, it's a very heated thing right now. I'm doing a show in L.A. called LA's Finest with Gabrielle Union. And she's an African-American female. It's a female Bad Boys, Jessica Alba. And they did some great motorcycle stuff last year. It's, and I asked all the stunt girls, I'm like, well, who did that bike lay down? They hired a male to do it because none of the girls wanted to do it. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. That was safe. But if you have time, like on feature films we do, you know what? Let's go out and train you. I would give you my time for free.
Well, that's the same thing, right, Mel? Is like without someone taking the chance on someone who's less experienced. So we were doing this fire burn on Once Upon a Time. There's like 8 Nazis burning, and each person burning needed a safety team of 2. I don't mean to railroad you, Mel. I just feel like it's an important
Please
topic.
save me.
There's 2 safeties to each person burning. Everyone burning was Nazis. That's not a spoiler alert. It's in the trailer. And Nazis historically were mostly men. So they were all dudes. The safety guys, at one point, we were like, I was looking at the list of stunt people that we had in for the safeties, and it was all dudes. And I was like, hang on, we must have women out there that have safety or can safety. And we came up with a list of the women that we sort of trusted and felt confident with and had experience. And we reached out to them. And even if they hadn't had the experience as a safety, we brought them in knowing that they were the type of women that I want to put my life in the hands of, and paired them up with someone that was the most experienced. And now those women have safety, and now those women can be called on again, and now they get to be experienced, and now they get to be better, and now they get to be, they don't have to be replaced by a dude. And I think that's part of the same thing that goes like with the ethnicity thing is there's so much less experience out there that if you find someone who's willing to take the time like Mel's talking about to train you up, lap that shit up. And if you can't find those people, go out and train yourself. And that goes for women. It goes for any minorities because the majorities don't seem to have to work that hard for it. But you want to be able to. What you don't want is when someone finally turns to you and go, there's the Japanese woman who's laying down a motorcycle. Can you do it? And in that moment, you have to say, no, that's when it sucks. Like that's why we upskill so that we can get that on-set experience because that's where it counts. You just end up not getting the job. Like if people calling me being like, can you jump out of a plane by yourself? No. All right, well, then I'm probably never going to get those calls again, So there's just something really important to giving opportunities to women and people of color and any minorities so that they've got the experience so that they can say yes the next time. And if you're not being given those opportunities, you have to create them for yourself. We all have. All of us have gone and done that for ourselves
Comes
so that
down
we can
to
say yes when someone asks.
work ethic. Work ethic. You have to be willing to work hard and to suffer for your craft. You really do. And if you don't know something, show up and volunteer and watch. Watch them hear about something. I would just show up and I would just sit there and learn and watch how they did it.
And I think, too, an important thing is, which was really interesting when we shot Night and Day, like I mentioned before, my husband, Double Tom, and we had a huge motorcycle chase. I don't know if anyone saw the film, but we did a huge bike chase. And he rides bikes very well. And when the coordinator said to him, you know, we have this big bike chase, you have someone on the back, she's going to flip around to the front, he said, get Jimmy. And those are two men, you know what I'm saying? And a man who's been in the business for years and can do pretty much everything was saying, I don't feel 100%. Could he have done it? Yes. Could he have done it as good as Jimmy? Probably not, because Jimmy's been riding bikes since he was in the womb, and that's just who he is. And I rode on the back of that bike with that guy for 2 straight months, you know, with no helmets, with live animals. And talking about hitting your mark every single time, the same spot and doing the things that we did was insane. But you have to know your limits. You have to know, you know, you have to take your ego out of it and say, whether you're a man, woman, or whatever it is, there's someone better for this job, and I'm okay with that. And that is what keeps everybody safe and keeps everybody in a good space.
Well said. Well
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, we
Best
had
person
on-
for the job.
Oh, sorry. My overspeaking
God damn it,
again.
Zoe.
Typical.
Somebody once
Well,
told me
like
that. Somebody once told me once that you never fall back on
Oh,
your
what?
aspirations. You always fall back on your training, right? So it's like,
That's good.
Yeah, totally. Well, and that, I don't know, there's something definitely in it. It is a heated conversation because it is hard to get that experience thing. Like, for example, on Death Proof, Tracy Toms, who plays Kim, who's driving the car that I'm on the bonnet of, like, that was some
That's a hood,
gnarly
by the way.
driving. Well, what?
The bonnet is a hood.
the bonnet is a hood.
Oh, sorry. Yes. On the hood of the car. But so Tracy is African American. The woman doubling her, whose name was also Tracy, was a white lady who had insane amounts of experience driving. Now she was driving the car. It was interacting with another car, and you had a human on the hood. So that was a really specific, trying time. What we ended up doing is having Tracy, you know, it just sounds so hideous to call it blackface. I mean, I've been made darker to match people with better tans than me. It's not the same thing. But what we did have is we had Chrissy Weathersby, who was a less experienced driver. She's African-American woman. And she was on set, and we would put her in, well, I wasn't coordinating, but Jeff would put her in sort of like less life and death situations, and she got the experience she wouldn't have got otherwise, because it would have just been Tracy doing the whole lot. She got to drive on set. She got to drive on set with a human on the front. She got to feel like what it was like when she hit the brakes a little bit too hard and I nearly came off, and you know, all that stuff that you only learn on set. But that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, like without Chrissy being, so that's where I love that there is a law of some sort involved, because I mean, Jeff would have brought her in anyway because he's a good man, but not everybody is. But that rule means that if you get a double, you still get to use whoever's going to keep the person on the hood, myself, from dying, which was cool. But there's still a world there where there's someone else who's now coming up underneath, who's getting the experience, who can get, you know, that's, I'm just repeating myself, but I just feel like that's really important to see where, because it would just be so easy to just plug a dude in or plug Tracy in and be like, look, we couldn't find anyone. It's like, well, it's on us to create spaces for those people that we can't find to come up. And then it's on those people to step up to that challenge.
Yeah. That's been kind of a theme, I think, in this panel, right? It's like work hard and, you know, and don't be a slacker.
Earn respect. Don't be sitting there on your phone looking at Facebook when you could be learning a million things.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Well-
don't think you deserve a job just because you have boobs. And I can say this because I have my own pair. So I'm talking in this like, don't turn up on set and be like, I've done 5 movies, therefore I'm qualified to be here. If the only reason you got 5 movies is because the union said they couldn't hire a man. Like, if you get a job, don't you want to turn up on the set and be like, I'm here, even if I got the job because they had to give it to me, watch me cane it better than anyone else would. That's how you want to walk away from set,
Nice.
Well
no
said.
matter how you get the job.
Well, I think
I
we got
also-
time for like one more question. I think you
Because
had
we
your
all
hand
talk
up.
too much.
Because
that?
we're chicks.
Hold on.
Hi, my name's Francesca. I don't know if you're supposed to stand up in the front, but hi. Okay. Is this? Hey. Okay. So I had a question going back to the amount of stunt work that involves fight choreography. I'm coming into this. I train mixed martial arts. I know it's not as pretty for film, but I was just wondering, are there any martial arts styles that are in high demand? You know, like John Wick 3 comes out, Invest in Silat and Judo now. Like, are there any skills that are really high demand that you're seeing right now?
I mean, everyone's going to have a different answer, and I want to hear what all of them have to say because I like to learn from these 3. But it's always changing. Like, it was Wushu 15 years ago. Krav Maga is an excellent, I like it because it's brutal and real, but I think a mix of all things. But I'd love to hear what you guys think.
My take on it would be, as a female fighter, like this is what, and I'm not saying this is me. Why am I prefacing? What I would say is, if you're doing martial arts of any description and you're interacting with another person or mitts and pads, a huge part of it when I'm dealing with actresses is in their stance. So if they can stand like they might fuck you up, we can do the rest if need be, you know. So if you can carry like you would fuck someone up in your body, we can work with you. Having said that, as a female, I would do stuff that keeps you flexible and limber, so that if we do, because women's stuff does tend to, well, I mean, it depends, but they might want you to be moving in a little bit more poetic movements. I'm totally mocking wushu there as if I actually know it, but so flexibility is good. I would definitely do something that involves throwing your legs around. So I would. Taekwondo is by no means my favorite martial
She means
art,
Taekwondo.
but it's got pretty kicks. It's got pretty kicks. You know what I mean? If you can look like you're gonna fight, you understand. The choreography would be another one. I don't know if you want to take a dance class or something, but remembering choreography is big.
Because we learn it
Because
very
that shit will
quick.
change all the time on set.
It depends on what it changes every 4 seconds. And I think also is the more that you have in your arsenal, the better you're going to be no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's all fine and great, but you know, a huge part of our business is, okay, you're going to get hit by a car, then you're going to do it again, and then you're going to do it again. And the windshield didn't break right that time. And, you know, you have to, there's something off with us, just in general, because it's not really normal, I feel like. I could safely say that. That, you know, if you have that in you, you're going to do great, like for real.
Tamika, what's your thought on the best martial arts or
tend
best
to-
fight style?
I tend to do a lot of fighting. I'd probably say about 80% of my jobs are fight related. Oh, she's too nice.
He's a really good fighter.
I grew up doing Taekwondo. I think Taekwondo is great for footwork. I also
Does
then
that mean throwing your legs around?
throwing your legs
as a-
around. I was thinking
Throwing
like,
your feet about.
yeah, I was like, is that judo or jiu-jitsu she's talking about? I did wushu because I thought it makes you look very beautiful. And weapons, I love weapons. So I studied wushu for a while. So I do like whip chain and straight sword. And it's just knowing timing, spacing, and footwork. I studied boxing for probably about 12 years now, just so I know I know exactly where my body is in space, and if like an actor steps in, I know exactly how to get out of it. Like it's just kind of something that's ingrained in me with like your feet, your just air awareness, everything. Mine's wushu and taekwondo and boxing for sure. And then I study also Muay Thai just because it looks more brutal. I love elbows.
Definitely
elbows
Muay Thai.
and knees.
Elbows
Yeah,
are great.
I love elbows
I love
too.
knees.
And I
Flying
think
knee.
finding a good dance partner
Yes.
to dance with. Like I fought with, I'm not sure if Kim and I have, but all really good dance. Yeah, let's fight later. Well, after we're drunk, yeah.
After the pedal.
In about an hour.
But I trained with Zoe, Tamiko, and like they're phenomenal dance partners. Like they're way better fighters than I ever could be. And it's about having a good dance partner to learn from and to fight with. It's about timing and reading each other.
And your range, because most of the time when you're doing a fight sequence, if you're the double, when they're turned around on the actor, you're fighting the actor 99% of the time, So you can't hit your actor.
It's your job
It's
to
a
get it right.
bad thing. It's a really bad thing. So you have to know, how to make it look dynamic and make it look powerful without actually punching them in the face. Because then you get fired, and then it's bad.
You have to keep them safe. Even if they mess up, you have to be 100% paying attention. I've seen too many of my friends get their face, like their nose, pushed aside. Because actors like, I'm method. And I'm like, yeah, and they're like, oh, great. So you'll get actors, but your job is to make them look good. So, and keep them safe. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amazing. I think we got time for one more question. Right here. Paul, would you like to say a couple? Yeah, please.
I'm as a director, I've had the honor of working with the female stunt community on my movies, and I just have to say, because I love the stunt community. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a stunt man. I came home from a grade school career day, very upset because the Stunt Persons Association was not represented in this thing in Detroit. Why would they ever be? But to me, the female stunt community is so awesome. I've had the honor of working with them on several films, and dedication sounds diminutive. Just the professionalism, the dedication, everything they do. They show up. They are such fucking badasses. You cannot believe it. And I'm in such awe of you guys, and it's just my goal to do as many movies as I can with you. So just
Thank you for
appreciate
coming, Paul.
how great
Thank
they
you.
are.
Thanks, Paul.
I'm blown away. This man showed up like Bridesmaid, Ghostbusters. It's like this man's
amazing.
A simple favor. I love this movie.
he's been so supportive of all of us female stunt people and females in the business, and just thank you for everything that you do every day.
So I would like to thank
You're
Zoe.
cheerful.
Zoe, this whole thing happened because of you and our friendship, and I want to thank the Moxy Times Square for having the gusto to do an event like this, and H Factor Water for this great hydrogen-infused water. You're going to feel like superheroes. And all of you for making the trek and doing the overnight flight. And, really amazing.